expenditure estimates. Madam Presiding Officer, in fiscal 2023, we intend to spend 59.59 million and 43.37 million for URP and CPEP respectively. These figures are programmed to meet the announced increases in salaries for workers in these programs. Madam Presiding Officer, our decision to institute the wage increases was based on the fact that these workers are among the lowest paid and their standard of living has been severely compromised by the astronomical increases in food prices. Additionally, this administration intends to implement a basic living wage policy in Tobago, and this can be construed as a first step in this direction. I now present the financing options. Revenues. Madam Presiding Officer, for fiscal 2023, the estimates for tax and non-tax revenues are as follows. Tax on income and profits, 138.05 million. Taxes on property, 5 million. Taxes on goods and services, 67.52 million. Taxes on international trade, 2.50 million. Other taxes, 4.10 million. Total tax revenue, 217.17 million. Property income tax, 0.02 million. Other non-tax revenue, 2.05 million. Total non-tax revenue, 2.07 million. And total revenue from taxes, 219.24 million. Madam Presiding Officer, the total revenue projected to be collected in Tobago for fiscal 2023 is 219.24 million. The revenue projection presented above is a tax and non-tax revenue likely to be collected from the economic activities conducted in Tobago and the utilization of resources in and around the island. We are well aware, Madam Presiding Officer, of the long-standing anomaly in the current economic accounting and recording practices which do not apportion to Tobago its share of aggregate revenues collected. Currently, taxes, fees, duties, and levies of companies with branches operating in Tobago pay their taxes on their Tobago operation in Trinidad. This is a direct contravention of Section 49(2) of the THA Act 40 of 1996, which stipulates that those institutions with subsidiaries operating in Tobago must pay their taxes attributed thereto in Tobago. Another source of leakage of Tobago's revenue related to taxes and import duties paid by residents of Tobago for goods landed in Trinidad due to the underdeveloped state of the island's international trading infrastructure. These are problems recognized by our predecessors but never resolved. We are going to fix this. Madam Presiding Officer, the Assembly has continued its engagement with various multilateral agencies. Quite recently, we received a visit from a technical team from the CDB. Among the matters explored with them were the construction of an innovative facility to replace the Scarborough Secondary School and development of coastal erosion protection. Conservatively, it will require about 1.2 billion to address problems of coastal erosion and another 500 million for the construction and outfitting of a smart facility to replace the Scarborough Secondary School, as well as for technological upgrades to several other schools on the island. In addition, this administration held discussions with the Inter-American Development Bank for a repurposing of the Scarborough Renewal Program at an estimated cost of 35 million and for funding of the Riseland Housing Development at a cost of 8 million. Another possible source of financing of the 2023 estimates will take the form of foreign direct investments on the island. and funds mobilized through engagements of persons in the diaspora. Attracting FDIs in the capital-producing sectors will be a key priority of this administration. But let me be pellucidly clear in the event that I wasn't before. We are very open to foreign direct investment. But please come straight to Tobago. Right. Not go to nobody, don't go wrong so, and don't go to another agency to come to us. We are capable of managing our own affairs as per Act 40 of 1996. Madam Presiding Officer, we are actively pursuing the PPP modalities of financing to execute some of our housing development projects, as well as other major public infrastructure works. Let today's budget presentation serve as a public notice that we are calling investors far and wide to come and do business with the THA for Tobago. Madam Presiding Officer, the last Executive Council raised $164.2 million via bond financing to support expenditure in the development program, most of which was used, unfortunately, to electioneering, to no avail. Although there is an option to raise an additional $135.8 million, given the current level of inherited liabilities, this Assembly, this administration has chosen to exercise some fiscal restraint and not incur additional debt at this time. I now wish to bring the curtain down on this presentation. Yes. And I need you to listen as I conclude. This, Madam Presiding Officer, is my maiden budget speech. I've attempted with the utmost frankness to bring to the attention of this House, Tobagonians, and by extension the national community, the fundamental problems and challenges confronting us in our attempts to make Tobago smarter, greener, and more autonomous. The policies we propose to pursue in fiscal 2023 are informed by the socio-economic realities that are confronting us, and which require this new administration to steer clear of the deceptively easy path taken by the last administration, and to select options that will ensure that we move towards becoming the greatest little island on the planet. Madam Presiding Officer, the mission requires commitment. Commitment of a high order by the Tobago government, the central government, and the people. It necessitates a critical fusion of the social and economic measures with the individual efforts of the entire population. There must be real total buy-in at all levels of the society in respect of the fundamental need to perform and to raise output through hard work, discipline, innovation, and a resolve to eliminate corruption and waste of every single kind from the public service operations of the THA. If, as Tobagonians, we are prepared to take on these challenges, I can think of no task which would be beyond our united capabilities, Madam Presiding Officer. Only we can fix Tobago. That's right. And as I close, I want to share with you my discovery in a text written by Tobagonian scholar Susan Craig James. In her research on the formation of society 1763 to 1838, under the subsection on the resistance of enslavement, she quotes, and I want to listen to this story carefully, Tobagonians. She quotes the eyewitness, not hearsay. She quotes from the journal of an eyewitness in the person of Ninian Jeffers, a British seaman, in explaining the indomitable spirit of the Tobagonian. She reports that the majority of the enslaved in Tobago were marked with whips all over their bodies, which signaled that the people of Tobago since then refused to remain conquered. She told anecdotes of several rebellions all over the island. But the one most apt to close this presentation today is that of a rebellion in Bessie Hope. The estate was torched, and the rebels fled to the hills of Charleville. However, 8 were caught and brought back for punishment. The eyewitness account, not hearsay, but the eyewitness account was that none of the 8 whimpered or murmured. There was no fear of the oppressors. One of the 8, a man called Chubb, who reportedly rolled up his sleeves and placed his hands on the table in front of them to be cut off. And after it was cut off, he refused to allow them to drag him to the gallows. Instead, he chose to get up and walk himself to the gallows. Then there was another of the 8 called Samson. Samson hung for an unbelievable 7 days before dying. Imagine being hung and refusing to die for 7 days straight. Why am I sharing these gruesome stories from a time so far gone? I am telling you, I'm telling this nation, and I'm reminding Tobagonians of the Tobago spirit. Yes. On December 6th, that spirit, once thought dead, was awakened among our population. It is the spirit that never yields to disadvantage. It is one where we rather die on our feet than on our knees. It is one where no amount of blows can beat out our dream for freedom. It is one where we are proud Tobagonians even unto death. It is in our DNA to desire to be autonomous. That is who we are. Today, we are thankfully not enslaved in chains, and we are not being dismembered limb by limb. But we do endure no lesser evil in our political disenfranchisement, one that every Tobago political representative since James begat, at least the genuine ones, has fought for. Let this, my first budget statement, remind the nation that Tobago will not stop agitating for the correction of an inherited colonial misarrangement. The Tobago spirit does not and will not give up easily. We do not waver from that which is right. I am not Chubb, I am not Samson, and I am not from Betsy's Hope. I am Farley from Speyside. But so long as God and the people of Tobago desire that I lead them, I will do so without fear, and I will do all in my power to direct this executive, this THA, and the people of Tobago towards the fulfillment of the Tobago dream, towards a smarter, greener, more autonomous Tobago. And so, Madam Presiding Officer, with that I ask that these fiscal measures as presented for fiscal 2022 be debated and accepted. Thank you. I beg to move.
Members, the question is proposed. Be it resolved that this House approve the draft estimates of revenues and expenditure respecting all functions of the Tobago House of Assembly for the financial year October 1, 2022 to September 30th, 2023, copies of which were laid on the table at an earlier stage of the proceedings.
The motion was not moved. The motion was not moved. Very respected presiding officer.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. Madam Presiding Officer, at this time, I beg to move that this House stands adjourned to Tuesday, 28 June at 10 a.m.
Members, the question is that this House be adjourned to June 28, 2022 at 10 a.m. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any against? The ayes have it. This House now stands adjourned to June 28, 2022 at 10 a.m. Pleasant good afternoon.